Hello and welcome to the show. Today we're going to be discussing Survive the Hunt 9 and the various bits and pieces and going-ons from that. Now, truth be told, for a lot of the first 20-25 minutes or so, not actually all that much untoward happened. There were some weird shenanigans occurring along the way. We saw players getting car chases, we saw some carjackings, we saw other bits and pieces happening around the map. But on the most part, well, I kind of did just about everything right. A few people asking why on earth did I bother, or a few people thinking that changing the appearance of my character was a waste of time. Yes, I went for a vaguely similar haircut. It didn't look all that much different. However, there's a couple of important things to note with this. Well, yes, it isn't drastically different. The beard was actually the main reason I went there. You see, my character is quite distinctive. I have the same character for all of GTA 5, pretty much. And by now, those hunting me will recognise the hair, will recognise the beard. And no AI, as far as I'm aware at least, certainly on the majority of times, no AI has even close to this. Look, I don't know if AIs have beards, to be perfectly fair. So the point was to get rid of the beard more than anything, to have a haircut that was vaguely normal, have a haircut that wouldn't stand out if you were walking down, because I don't know all the haircuts the AIs have. It was just to get a normal looking haircut, but more importantly, remove the beard. You want to know what? It probably saved me, because the carjacking, had I still been looking as I did, may well have just shot me straight where I was. As it was, you know, they didn't think twice about it and went to steal the car. So, yeah, it isn't the biggest change, but it doesn't need to be. The point is, it needs to just be different enough that they won't necessarily notice, because you've got to cover a lot of city. You've got to cover a lot of ground. Well, yes, there are 15, 16 of them chasing me. They've got to cover as much of the city, it's a very large area, as possible. You can only afford to glance slightly at cars, and if you glance slightly at a car and doesn't immediately click that I look like I do, that's a win for me. Yeah, I left my car out the front of a barber shop. They may well realise I've changed my appearance, but it still works in my favour because they don't know what appearance they're looking for. It doesn't matter. I've got to abandon my bright orange car somewhere around the map, and hell, for all they know, I spotted a nice car and decided to nick that. So, yeah, 100% worth doing, because you never know when you need that split-second advantage. Now, as I said, after that, not a lot happened. Well, all sorts of shenanigans happened, but nothing really directly affected me. Yes, we got another wanted level from being in a stolen car, and that was actually a very lucky moment for me. A player drove past me, and that pinged. Although the player being chased by police drove past me, they obviously weren't looking behind, because the police immediately, I don't know, I imagine they were calling Leicester, so they'd called the police off them. The police then needed something to do, were parked behind me. I was in a stolen car, that chases me. Had whoever drove past me actually looked behind, they would have seen me being chased by a police car. Now, luckily, very luckily, they didn't. I moved forward a bit and managed to sneak around a corner while frantically calling Leicester. Didn't do anything stupid, or didn't do anything too stupid, while frantically calling Leicester, and we got away. That's very lucky. That's very, very lucky indeed, and they didn't shoot up my car too badly, didn't do too much damage to the car, so I could just sneak away from that. It probably won't go that well very often, but we were lucky there. The carjacking itself, or the attempted carjacking itself, a very unlikely, well, I say a very unlikely event. It's more likely than you would perhaps expect. So, yes, we are in a big city. There is an awful lot of vehicles that you could potentially steal. However, you can immediately discount half of them. Pretty much, maybe even 3/4 of vehicles you can immediately discount a hunter ever looking at. Why? Because they need speed. They are not going to be driving a Pre. They're not going to be driving one of the very, very basic slow cars. It'll be no good in a chase. They need to have a decent car, or for the most part. Occasionally they might drive something, try to be incognito a little bit. Brown Washington from recent reminds me of that, because I didn't actually realise that was a player car until much later. You might go for an incognito mode, but very unlikely. You're going to want the faster cars, and it just so happens that, well, so am I. Because if I get chased, sure, they might not check all the slow cars, but if I do something dumb, I might get spotted, and then I want a half-decent car to try and get away. So, we're going to be wanting to acquire the same cars. That immediately improves the odds, but that immediately means that they are going to be looking at the same cars. Well, my Fusillade was in, decent condition, happened to be parked. yeah, it's incredibly unlucky that it so happened to be my car that they went up to nick, but I mean, we saw a carjacking going on in front of us at one point. So that could well have been me at that particular point. A hunter wants to get a new car because they've dinged theirs up, it's damaged. You know, they're going to look for a decent car, which I'm probably going to be driving, and yeah, it just so happens that occurred. I mean, it's the first time in 9 Survive the Hunt, and we have witnessed a couple of carjackings before. It's just something that goes on. When there's 15 hunters, you know, the odds are eventually it might happen, and we got unlucky. It's a good thing I ran, because if I hadn't, I forgot, if you go try to steal an AI car, you just tap Y and you'll steal it. If I'm a player in that car, you'd have to hold Y. If you tapped it, you go round into the passenger seat. That wouldn't have been particularly good. That one would not have been particularly good. So, yeah, at the end, it's an incredibly unlucky, unfortunate event. However, didn't really do anything wrong in terms of the pursuit there. It just so happened, wrong place, wrong time for me. However, that then started the chase, and that then gave us a whole different thing to deal with. So, here we are at where everything kind of kicked off. We're going to walk the scene, if we will, through the final minutes of Survive the Hunt 9. Now, some people might wonder, why did I continue essentially fleeing up until this point? Yes, I had mostly shaken the car that was giving chase. So we get initially spotted somewhere over in this part of the map. Unlucky, it happens, we were spotted, we had to run. Now, we did flee our way around here quite nicely, ducking and weaving. I think the last time they definitely saw I was heading whichever direction, whichever route I took. They definitely saw me turn down one of these ways. But I've got to concentrate on where I'm driving. I can't be looking back to see if a car has seen what alleyway I've taken, what turning I've taken, because I'm going to crash into something forward. Ideally, I want to be able to see forward and backwards at all time. I can't do that. I have to make a choice, and I was concentrating on driving. I don't know at what point how far behind the other car was, because I get half a second, if that, to look behind me before I've got to then worry while I'm going flat out. Well, I've got to worry about what's ahead of me. So, could I possibly have ducked into an alleyway and parked the car and hidden? It's possible. You know, it's possible somewhere over here I could have done. However, if a hunter's gone round a corner and doesn't see where my car's gone, you know, let's say that they've lost, they go round that corner there, and suddenly there's no sign of me anywhere. This is the area they're going to search. There's going to be a car cruising around the area with everybody heading to that area to search it, which means even if I've got away, I am going to have a tough time leaving that area. And that's what we saw later on in this. So I made the executive decision to try and get a little bit more distance away, which is fairly sensible. And I was pretty happy as I came up here, actually, that we were kind of an okay distance away, and I would be ready to start either trying to go... Well, I can't really go back to sneaking once they know the car, because they'll search all of them. But yeah, I thought we were just about okay to go find maybe... Well, my actual plan had been to drive up into the houses where we do go to swap car. However, plans change. We get hit by a Sultan in the face. Now, okay, that makes sense. The call was I was around this industrial area. You'd probably be going to have a look at this industrial area wherever you were starting, which means I get hit and I end up pointing over this direction. Now I've got to get going, which means I just point the car. Whichever way is the least resistance to get moving, the more momentum I have, the harder I am to stop. So we head this way. Now I can't keep going that direction. While I hate to turn back on myself, this is the edge of my area, pretty much. I can't go, I'm not allowed out in this area. So I have to turn back. I have to turn down here. Is it risky? Sure. I'm basically going back on myself. I've taken a long triangle, whereas there's a very, very short route down that way. But I'm at the edge of the area. It's what I do. And, well, the car that was giving chase to me, of course, now knows where I am. If they've made a wrong turn, because, you know, they were only over here, they've made a wrong turn. The call is I'm up by the oil fields or whatever. They're going to come up this way and end up getting spat out in front of me. And not just that, everybody is now converging on this part of the map. When I'm seeing, I think there's about 5 or 6 cars at least at this point giving chase, and certainly in the very, very close proximity. Now, I get lucky. As we are leaving this area, a couple of them bump into each other. The Sultan and an SUV of some description bump into each other. Everyone else is flying up that way, has to turn around. So I have a bit of momentum going forward, so we can run down here. And now the Fusillade I was driving is not terrible. It's better certainly than this Habanero in terms of speed, but it isn't as fast as the cars that are giving chase. Now, again, we go back to this whole, I cannot look back constantly and look forward constantly, so I don't know at what point they can see me and they can't. I figure I can't outrun them in a straight line. If I keep going that way, it's going to be, you know, straight lines and so on. I dive down the first... This is the first real feasible left-hand turn, and it's about here is the last point... Oh, my brakes are terrible in this car. I'm glad I wasn't using this. This is the first point, or the last point, sorry, I actually look back. Now, at this point, I can't see anybody, but I wouldn't necessarily expect to. I'm fully sure that they would have seen me, because, I mean, if we go back up to here, I'm just going to show you now that I can faff around with the look-back camera. I am 100% sure that given the speed of their cars and the speed of my car and whatnot, we're about to get cut. Look, I'm doing an important thing here. Go away. I will run you over or I will shoot you. Look, stop it. There we go. Yeah. I mean, look at the line of sight back here. They've seen my car turn down here. You know, they know that the fusillade is going down this way. Now, yeah, sure, when I'm at this bridge point here, they might not. They might not quite have made that turn, but they know I've gone this way. And likewise, the chances are they're going to know I've gone on straight here. If I've taken a right-hand turn, they'll see the car. That wall's not high enough to hide anything. If I've taken a left-hand turn, the road does dip away, but I'll have to have slowed down to make the corner. They will have still seen the car go left, so they'll see that I've gone straight on. This is where it gets a little tougher for them, giving chase, because when I hit this point here, they won't see the car. You'd have to be very close to see it because of the hill. If you're on the bridge at this point, you're not going to see if I've gone left, right, or straight on. Now, you can rule out the straight on, because while yes, I've gone downhill, I'm then going up the bridge. So they can rule out that one. They would have been close enough to see which way I've gone. And you also got to bear in mind here, not only are there the 5-6 cars behind me, there are other cars now heading to this area, because this is where I am. So I can turn left, less likely, because that's heading back towards them. I can turn right, which is good for hiding, or there is the fourth option, which is I can go straight on. Now, figuring that this option here, for me, is the best to hide. There's more buildings, there's more scenery for me to sneak in. This is why I went down here. And while I actually had intended on jumping straight at the storm drain, realised there's a wall there. I thought about abandoning the car here, but figured that it was far too close to where I was last seen. So we go and weave our way and jump into... I mean, if there had been a train here, I would have jumped on that, but there wasn't when I was doing this. So yeah, we weave our way around and we jump into the storm drain. Sure. There's no visual line of sight of me doing that. However, if you assume half the cars, or if you assume a car checks that way, a car might go straight on in case. A couple of cars might think I've gone that way. I've already used the storm drain once, and I like the storm drain as a way to get away because there's lots of bits to hide in, but those giving chase might start to recognise a pattern. We're in trouble, we dive down somewhere that's difficult to follow. Well, you're going to have a search down here. So you're going to you're going to put me in this area regardless of which way I've turned. You're going to put me somewhere around here. Yeah, having a check in the storm drain is probably not a bad idea. Now, I have a little bit of time at this point. We do have a little bit of time, which is why I spotted an opportunity to abandon the car. Now, this is not the best hiding place in the world for a car. However, I figured two things. First of all, if they didn't notice or didn't check the storm drain, you're not going to see it from the road. There's no way you're going to be able to see the car from the road, especially if you whiz past here. On foot, sure, but you're at a completely different camera angle while driving. Unless you are specifically looking down there, you're probably not going to see the car. Unfortunately, of course, they do check the storm drain and they do check that little area. But now I'm out on foot, and there were no nice cars around here for me to nick. If there had been, I would have been killed anyway, because as we go to cross the road, I get run over. Now, that is very unlucky. That is very unlucky, but also very lucky all at once. They don't realise, they don't recognise it's me. I'm surprised, because I was jogging across the road. I wanted to try and get to this footpath to wander along and blend in. I wanted to get to the footpath to just try and walk and blend in for a little while, because I figured they wouldn't expect me to be on foot. But I can't be over that side of the road and look like I'm supposed to be there. I can't be on that side of the road and blend in, so I had to try and get across quickly. I didn't see any cars initially, but, you know, you just kind of got to go for it sometimes. We get hit. Amazingly, they didn't realise it was me. I guess the AI freak out enough and do weird things when they're on foot that somebody didn't cotton on. Now, I did very briefly pull out a gun, because I was fully expecting them to turn around or slam on the brakes to try and get out of their car. However, they were not paying attention. They were long gone. Would never have seen my character pull out a gun for the half a second I actually had the gun out. And then that leaves me in an awkward predicament in that I've just been hit. I know there are cars around, so I opt for I say the slightly safer. I opt for the hiding strategy. We're going to hide in here. which turned out to be a pretty clever strategy in some regards. Now, I, in hindsight, could probably have run through here. There's no real reason to amble my way around here. You're not going to blend in with anybody because you're out of the area, pretty much. So, yeah, we kind of wander around in here, and I figure, you know what, let's just go and get in a bit of cover while we go and get some body armor. Because I wanted to recover some health having been hit, which is why we go in here. And that's where things start going, well, I say start going a bit wrong for me, that's when things start getting interesting. Because in all of this, they've found my car. Now, as I said, you search the storm drain, fairly simple. You've already seen me, I've already dove up somewhere in one of the tunnels over here. Yeah, they saw me dive in here. So at this point here, they know this marker is a guaranteed I was there. And because my car is where it is, there's a guaranteed I was on foot. And there is, you know, said I got hit. I got hit out there. The car that drove past will be able to, you know, there was no one carjacking something going on. They wouldn't have seen anything weird. So within a very, very small time frame, they know that I am on foot. And, of course, if I'm on foot, where am I most likely to go? Well, if you happen to drive past and see this door come on, door. Pinger. Yeah, if you're driving past, you're searching this area, because you know I was here, because my car's just over there. You see that door open, it's going to be a half-decent guess that I may well be in here. Also, the door can sometimes be a bit weird and glitchy when you're walking around in multiplayer, especially with there are more people. I'm probably not going to do it now, but I was testing this a minute ago, and the door was sort of pinging open. I could be back here, and depending on how the timing worked, the door could still have been open and could be moving. Someone might have seen the door moving and so on. So, yeah. It makes sense. If I'm on foot, where am I going to go? Somewhere nicely built up, somewhere well secluded, to try and hide around a corner. We had a lot of cars suddenly crowd that area because, well, the big alarm's gone off. I am around here. Whichever way you took up this part, whichever way you are, you might be this part of the city, you might be down here, you might be possibly over this part of the city. It doesn't take long in GTA to drive to the junkyard. Or to this area. It doesn't take long whatsoever. Certainly at least 3 of the cars that actually drive into the junkyard were the cars that saw me while I was up by the oil fields, which are going to be the cars that are, you know, at the end of the day closest. So, yeah, it kind of doesn't take too much to put 2 and 2 together and head in here. Because, hell, if I was hunting, that's what I'd do. It's not a case of looking at a map. People in this do not cheat. It is a simple case of, well, what makes the most sense? Where would I have gone? Here is a pretty damn good bet. They all wander in, they have a quick look around, realise I'm not here or think I'm not here. They all, well, bugger off. Now, you saw the cars that came in. Everything was pretty battered. Everything was pretty battered up, and there's a lot of kerfuffle around outside. We can't really see it from where I was hidden, but there's a lot of kerfuffle around as people get into new cars, as people are swapping vehicles and whatnot outside, which is why I can't leave particularly quickly. And up until this point, everything was going my way. In a Survive the Hunt, you make hundreds and hundreds of choices, some subconsciously, along the way, and all it takes is one to go wrong, and you're in a lot of trouble. Now, I didn't do anything wrong that initiated the chase whatsoever. It was at this point where I made the first of my wrong decisions. We sit in here, we heal up, as we do, and then it becomes time to leave. I can't sit and hide the entire time. Makes for a crappy video, my own rules for this. So I've got to move. We've got to leave the dumpster at some point. Now, there are 3 ways out of here. Well, actually, I only thought there were 2, I didn't realise. You can go back out the way you came. Well, I'm not going out that way. I heard all the cars crashing around, and I still don't know if people have fully sorted out whatever vehicles they're going to and figure out what way they're going to head. So I don't want to leave by this way. Yes, I can get onto a footpath very quickly and try and blend back in with the walking people, but if I do go out this way and there happens to still be somebody around, you're going to be insta-shot. Also, the door is noisy and has a bit of a slow animation, so, you know, they might see the door moving, hear the door moving, if there was anybody around. So that's a dumb... Well, I say it's a dumb option. That's a very, very risky option. I could have grabbed the Futo. It was tempting. I said, at the time I was tempted to grab the Futo. Problem is, Futo's a crappy car to be trying to get away. The vehicles that we're racing against, or I say we're racing against, we're running from, are, you know, Sultans, Oracles. Most of them were good. Most of them were fast. They're about the fastest options the Hunters had. And a Futo's crap. It's very oversteery, means you can't carry any corner speed, and very light. Means if it gets hit by anything, it's going to go flying. So I didn't really fancy a Futo, because I knew if I was going to be in a chase, in a photo in a chase is almost worse than me being on foot trying to walk out here. Genuinely it is. I didn't actually realise that was a way I could climb out. I thought that was a dead end. If I had, I probably would have gone that way. So I figure this is the best way to go. Which, okay, as far as choices go, is really the safest option there. The thing that I did wrong was I didn't sprint down here. I should have tried to get out of here much, much quicker. Because I tried to amble my way down here, it took a little while. Truth is, I can't blend in with anything because there's never an AI person walking here. What I should have done is run out here as fast as possible to try and get out onto the footpath. And then we could have just sort of walked around and hoped we'd be okay. And the problem was I didn't. And as we ambled our way down here, we got into trouble because, well, there was still a car in this area. Why would there be a car in this area, you might ask? Well, yes, normally I do choose to bolt, and I like to get as far away as I can. We've seen it work in the past. You cover ground, you cover ground, you cover ground fast. Yes, you might run into another hunter, but you tend to go so far that it doesn't matter too much. So, by this point, I could be over here. I could be over here, or I could be down here even, or I could be over here. You might expect all the hunters to try and spread out again to try and find me. Sure, and plenty did. Plenty did bugger off into the distance. However, you know I was here. This is the last point at which I was seen. This is the last point that you can guarantee 100% I was. And you can guarantee that I was at least on foot for a little while, because there was a lot of cars over in this part, a lot of cars around this area who didn't see, a carjacking, didn't see something weird going on, didn't see a car shooting out of the area. So the chances are I was on foot for a little while around this part, which means I probably haven't gone that far. Does it make sense then to leave a vehicle over here having a look because I could still be on foot trying to hide in an alleyway? Yeah, of course it does. When you've got at least 5 or 6 cars over in this part of the map, does it make sense to leave one checking this area? Absolutely. And I get unlucky because I walk out into it. Now, second choice to screw up is I should have run towards the car rather than back down the alleyway. On foot, it's actually a little bit strange on foot in Survive the Hunt, because you are very vulnerable, but you are also incredibly dangerous. You are essentially a full-on glass cannon at this point, because I have this sort of firepower available to me. I can do a huge amount more damage to them when I'm on foot, of course, because I'm pretty much weapons free. And if I'd run out and taken out the guy in the Oracle, whatever it was, might have actually been a better idea. Now, I instinctively thought of running rather than attacking, so we run back in here, figuring that the Jackal's got to turn around or they've got to climb out of the car. It gives me that little bit of time. My theory was that I could get back in here, and I wanted to get on the roof. I figured I could use that as a defensive position. So we run back in here. The bike actually wasn't really around this area, but as I was walking out here, you get, 10, 15 seconds walking out here, get spotted, have to panically turn around and run back down this way. The bike, they changed car, I don't know what car they were in before, they changed car, grabbed the bike, and a bike can cover ground really bloody quickly. So if you're still faffing about sorting out your vehicle, and you're on a bike, it doesn't take long to get back down here. When the call is that I am actually by the junkyard, they get through the door. I can murder them very quickly. I'm on foot with an AK. That's fine. Now, I don't want to go out that door because that puts me in a lot of danger. I figure safest bet, get on the roof and we can defend ourselves. The problem is, that was where I made the other decision. Now, admittedly, this was, a wrong decision. It was the wrong decision at the time, but it wasn't one that I could sensibly know at this point. I thought there was the car and the bike to deal with, and climbing up here, we end up getting headshot from a revolver over on this roof. Had I not climbed up that ladder, had I gone down that way, hell, if I'd gone onto the stairs over here even, the guy on the roof would not have been able to see me, not be able to get me. It's just I was slowly climbing up a ladder at an awkward angle, or a very easy angle for somebody over there to shoot me at. So, yeah, it was unfortunate. And you might wonder, well, why were there 3 vehicles or 3 people still hanging around in this area? How is that not cheating? Well, let's give a simple thing. Okay, A, the bike wasn't really in this area to begin with. They were actually trying to leave. Just so happened that timing-wise went wrong for me. As I said, it makes sense to leave a car over here. You've also got to bear in mind, again, players are spread out when the chase started, and while everyone was congregating on this part of the map, because this is where I was being chased, if you were, let's say, over here, for example, well, it's going to take you a little bit of time. They will have lost sight of me by the time you would get into the fray. And I'm actually not sure how hordes got onto the roof, because we were in this area for quite a while. We would have seen anybody actually enter the alleyway down here from this side. If you'd walked down this side to climb up that bit of stairs there, I would have seen, pretty much. So I'm still having a look around here, and I'm not quite sure. And if you are the other side of this wall, and you think, well, okay, so he was over here. The cars didn't see him. Has anybody checked the roofs? But one car fell off over there. I'm not 100% sure how they got there. I think they might have jumped off the roof of the car park to search a roof. But, you know, they very, very briefly searched the roofs. Nobody actually did a proper, thorough check over here. So as other vehicles are buggering off to search a wider area, if you've just arrived here, it's going to take you a few minutes to figure out how the bloody hell to get up here. How do you get onto the roof? Is there a ladder around over this part? I mean, I've been faffing around for a little while now, and it doesn't look like there's a ladder up this part. Maybe in this corner? Oh, climb over some stuff. Could you get up onto the top of this, perhaps? I guess maybe you could park a car somewhere, climb up on the roof, maybe. I actually don't know. So, you know, the time taken to get up here, especially if you're vaguely in this area, I get spotted over there somewhere, and yeah, it end up there's somebody searching the rooftops. I don't actually know how hordes made it over to that part, unless you climb through the car park, possibly. But again, you got to spend all of this time moving around trying to find your way up there. It could take a good few minutes to get to the roof. It could take a good few minutes to find a way up here to be able to wander around. And it just so happened that bad timing on my part meant we were there when they were over there. Yeah. At the end of the day, very, very simply, the easiest way you can tell it's not cheating is I could have been and should have been killed in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different positions. If, you know, people would pay attention, you would have been able to shoot me as I walked out there. Hell, if you'd been on the roof and seen me leave the area, I'd be dead before I'd know it, because I was not looking behind me as I ambled my way down there. It was just a bad bit of timing. It was a bad bit of timing from me. I could have gone over this way. If I had, I would have been safe. If I'd gone up this stairs rather than the ladder, I would have been fine. If I'd gone up this stairs rather than the ladder, I would have got up here, probably been able to shoot hordes. Admittedly, there would now be everyone swarming this part. However, I have the advantage. I'm up here, can shoot down at people. It would probably be a big old bloodbath, but I would have had the advantage. It just didn't quite go that way, because I saw a ladder and thought that was my better option. So, yeah, we got unlucky at the end. We got a lot of luck earlier on. As I said, you make hundreds and hundreds of decisions in a Survive the Hunt, and one wrong decision can be insta-death. At the end, my main wrong decision was climbing the ladder. If I'd run out onto the street, I think I would have fared better. Might have still got killed in the end, but if I'd run out towards the car, I think I would have fared better. But yeah, there's just simply the decision to climb the ladder, thinking I could get up there and get on the rooftop. It would have been, theoretically it was good. Theoretically I could have gone on the rooftop, had advantage with cars coming in this part, but I wasn't to know. But that's the excitement. That's the fun of this. You know, you got to try and play these odds, try and outsmart the opposition, and in the end, just too many people were in too close an area. I think maybe leaving the car was risky. That kind of worked, it was just I couldn't get out of the area. And this is the difficulty with the whole stop and hide in alleyways part. You can't leave the area fast enough. Trying to get out of that part is the trying to leave bit that is very, very tough. If you run very quickly across the whole map, you might run into more hunters. That's a risk. If you try and sneakily around an area, it's very tough to leave that area, and that area is going to be swarming with people. I lost out in this one, but what we did get was quite possibly one of the best, certainly my favourite, Survive the Hunt. Some of the most terrifying moments for me as a hunted in this one. I mean, it always worked. At the end of the day, I didn't do anything wrong at all in the initial discovery of me. Just be a bad luck, bad timing, wrong place, wrong time. But that's how it goes. And that will be it for this video. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.